Vital wheat gluten is a product that you may have already come across in your cooking. But did you know that there's a lot of different ways to use it?
And today on WTF, we're going to show you 3 different ways, from a seitan orange chicken to pizza to donuts. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients, cooking techniques, we demo recipes, and show you how to get started in doing some cool new stuff in your culinary journey. So remember to subscribe and ring the bell, and you make sure that you get notified of our content because it does come out every single Tuesday. So this week, we're going to be covering something that might not be, as esoteric as some of the other episodes that we've done in the past. We're going to be talking about vital wheat gluten, and you might have already either worked with it or heard of it. But I think today we're going to show you some, a more diverse range of how you can possibly use vital wheat gluten. So, Scott, why don't we start off with a little bit about, what is vital wheat gluten?
So it's just the protein that comes from wheat. So what it is all that starch is washed away pretty much, and we have just the protein. So the things that makes bread chewy, elastic, that's exactly what the vital wheat gluten is. So we're actually going to make a few different things today. We're going to make a seitan, and then we're going to just talk about quickly what it does for breads and how it can aid breads when you're adding it to flour that already has gluten in it. So we should probably get into the demo just because we have quite a bit to demo here today. Mm-hmm. And this is a organic product that we have, which is uncommon. Mm-hmm. Usually they're non-organic, but this one is an organic product, and we're going to make a seitan. And seitan is a meat alternative, and it's based on gluten. So you get that chewiness that you would look for in a meat, but you get one that is meatless. So this is the vital wheat gluten. You can see the color of it. It's very free-flowing powder. And we have a few things that we're going to add to it, just a little bit of salt. We have an important aspect is this is very chewy. So if you don't add something in it to break it up a little bit, it will remain very chewy. Okay. It'll be hard to work with, and it doesn't necessarily feel like meat when it's that chewy. So we like to add a little bit of whole wheat flour to it. And that's actually a good thing to note, where if you are using whole wheat flour in a bread recipe, you can add a little bit of the vital wheat gluten to help, work against it. So what it is that the whole wheat, the hull of the wheat that's in there, the germ, everything, that tends to cut up the gluten strands. It shortens them and makes it a little bit softer. But you can work and balance that in 2 different ways, whether it's in a whole wheat dough or a dough that happens to have a lot of seeds or grains or multigrain, something like that. You can add a little bit extra gluten so you get that better structure to hold on to those grains. Or if we're working with the seitan, we can add a little bit of the whole wheat flour to kind of break up those gluten strands and make for a better textured seitan. So moving on, we have our garlic powder, onion powder. We have a little bit of ground thyme. And then we have some white pepper. And if you watched our plant-based meat episode, the white pepper, the thyme, the garlic powder, that's all umami, that's all savoriness that we're adding to it to make it have that similar aroma as meat. Then we're going to get into the fat. So I like to use coconut oil in this. So this is about 20 grams of coconut oil melted. You can see as I added in.
Okay. And that's our unflavored coconut oil, so it's not going to taste like coconut seitan.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah, we're not making coconut seitan. And I like to just cut this oil in. Almost think about it if you're making like a biscuit dough. I like to just cut the oil in, right? So it can kind of get broken up, and there'll be little almost fatty pockets in your final seitan. And this bowl is actually a good thing to note. This is a special bowl that we carry here at Modernist Pantry. Now I'm going to say it's either ISI or ISI. And as well as this, is that they're non-stick. So this seitan, if you make it in a glass bowl, if you make it in a stainless steel bowl, you're going to have to scrub that bowl. But this silicone bowl is great in that it comes right off the side. So when I add the water here,
And we like the silicone spatulas a lot because they're silicone, but they're also stiff at the same time, so they don't like bend and stuff. This is my favorite spatula.
These are my favorite spatulas for sure. I have them at my house as well. So I'm just going to add the water, and it's this simple that all I do is I add this water, and when I start mixing it, it's going to come together quick. So over time, that gluten's going to start grabbing onto the water, and you can see how easily it comes away from this bowl.
Yep.
Now, you can try it at home. Try to make it with a metal bowl, and it is not going to be this easy. So I have this here, and you see it comes together very quickly, and then you can just knead the dough. Now, we did this on our Instagram. Definitely go check it out. You can see that we made the entire recipe there. What you do with this is you'll knead it. You can form it into whatever shape you want. You can then either steam it or simmer it in vegetable broth, whatever you want there, just to pretty much cooking it and solidifying those proteins. You get those proteins nice and stiff, and then you can make what you want. And what I did here is after I did that, I took it and I sliced it into pretty much just little kind of medallions that we have here. And we're going to make orange chicken, but it's going to be orange seitan. So
it's like when they spell chicken with just a K, the chicken,
or C-H-I-X, right? So very simply, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to saute it up. If you want to see this full recipe, either the entire ingredient list, you can check in the link in the description below, or on our Instagram, we do a full run through of how to make this sauce and everything. So very simply, what I'm going to do here is I have my pan on. This is kind of like a makeshift wok that we have here. I'm going to add a little bit of oil into the pan. And just make sure it's coated on the bottom. This is like a fast way. I pretty much made the sauce ahead of time. Usually you saute your garlic, your ginger, and your scallions. Take them out, sear off your chicken, your seitan here, and then you would reduce your sambal, your soy sauce, and your orange juice together, and then add them all together. But I pretty much made the sauce already, and we're just going to see the finished product. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to put them in and just sear them up. And the good thing about this is that it is a protein, so it will get nice and golden brown, and that little bit of whole wheat flour is going to help get that nice crispy edges and just have a really nice texture to it. And as this starts to cook, it's going to loosen up. That coconut oil is going to start to loosen up, and it's going to make for a really nice textured protein. So we made these, and I'm just going to let these sear up for a little bit. And then we like to put it out on the counter here, and there's a lot of people who have never really been introduced to something like a seitan and whatnot, and everyone really loved this dish this week. So
I love seitan. I mean, I feel like seitan's really common in China, so I definitely grew up eating a lot of seitan, and I've always loved it.
Yeah, it's a great texture. It's exactly what we want from like a meat. We want that chew, we want that bite, that hardiness, and that's exactly what this does. And just a little bit of seasonings can really make it great. So I'm going to let that sear up for a little bit. But other things that we did, or we have done with Vital Wheat Gluten, is we've added them to our breads. So something like our donuts over there, which have a high fat content, we wanted to add that Vital Wheat Gluten to really make it, like a nice structure to hold on to all that fat, especially through the frying process and everything. So we have those donuts here, and we just lightly dusted them in sugar. Or our quick pizza dough. So our Sicilian style pizza dough, a great recipe that is on our blog that we made, and it's from dough to done in under 2 hours. So we were able to make the entire dough, the sauce, cook it, proof it, everything in under 2 hours, and that the only reason we're allowed to do that because of the Vital Wheat Gluten and the I'm Free Perfect Baking Powder, which you can watch that episode, just linked in the description below. So we're going to get these nice and golden brown here.
And I kind of like that, the Vital Wheat Gluten. I think sometimes when people think of it, they think of it as just a plant-based diet ingredient, when in reality it's really a lot more than that, because we're using it in these pizza doughs and in these donuts, but you could actually use it in also like other doughs that have egg and milk as well, right?
Yes, you can use it in pretty much any recipe that you want to use it in. It doesn't necessarily have to just be plant-based diet, but it works great for it because you're making something like a seitan. So this is starting to look good. There's some nice golden brown edges on this. So basically all I'm going to do is add in our sauce here.
That sauce is good.
So this sauce is Very simple. I kind of mentioned it before. Garlic, ginger, scallions, soy sauce, orange juice, and sambal. So just some chili. And I reduced it about 75% of the way because I wanted to get it on this seitan, allow it to cook a little bit more, and really kind of adhere to the outside of it. And then we'll put it on some nice white rice. And I made the rice a bit aromatic with a little bit of star anise and some cardamom. So.
Now, would you say the seitan, if you do want to kind of just make a batch of it and you love it, but you can't eat it all at once, do you think it freezes well and people can like use part of it?
Oh, it freezes
off? Okay.
Just like if you were freezing bread or something like that, as long as you wrap it up nice, it's going to be perfect. It'll last a very long time. This is pretty hearty. It's just protein, water, and a little bit of fat too. So if you wanted to make it for the week, you could absolutely make a batch of it and then have it for the week. So we have this here. We're starting to get nice and coated on the outside. So I'm going to just put this over our rice.
And if somebody was making the dough, how long would you say it would be ready before they can start cutting it up and stuff?
So after you either steam it or poach it, it can be used once it's cool.
Okay.
So it takes about 25 minutes either in the steamer or when you're poaching it. And then after that, just cool it down to the touch, and then you're able to just cut it up and use it right away.
Okay, so really
so you
easy.
don't have to, it doesn't take a day or anything like that.
Okay.
At max, it could probably take you an hour to just have the whole thing ready to go.
Okay, so that's like a great thing to do on the weekend or something.
Yep.
You just make a batch and you can cook it up over a couple different days, over a couple different preparations.
Yep. And just to finish this up, just some scallions over the top. And Janie, if you want, it's probably hot.
Okay.
But go right ahead. Try not
All
to
right.
burn your face off.
Is there anything for me to eat it with, or am I grabbing my hand? Ooh, totally didn't see it.
Sneak them in there. So like we said, it can be used for anything. It doesn't just have to be a plant-based diet, but this is just a great way to use it if you're making seitan. The seitan recipe is very nice, very flavorful, and it is a nice stand-in for chicken if you are plant-based.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot lighter than I think the seitan that I'm used to growing up, which is probably not coated with anything, so it does have that like super chewiness. So this is a little bit like par seitan, par rice cake texture to me.
Yes,
which is really nice, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because we didn't want it to be too chewy. We found that was a little bit off-putting to the people who hadn't necessarily eaten seitan ever before. We had them test it out, and they weren't a big fan of that. They liked the sauce, but we wanted to make sure it was like that nice, perfectly chewy texture, and the sauce has to be great, obviously. So, but yeah, this is a great recipe, and if let's just say you wanted to use the sauce on something else, you absolutely could. It works the exact same way. You don't just need the seitan, but you can then take this seitan and add it into any recipe that needs it, and it can hold up to things like braising, stewing, all those things. It can really hold up to it, so that's a really good thing to know about seitan as well. Yeah,
that's a good point. And this sauce has pretty much exactly the perfect amount of heat in it, because it's hot, but it's not like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. But it's really great.
And if you don't like heat, you can always lower it or take it out completely, but we do suggest trying it this way because this is very nice and delicious.
Yeah, and as always, you can get this recipe, these recipes on our blog.modernistpantry.com. Everything is in the description below. Give it a shot. Leave us your comments, your questions. We love hearing from you. And if you do make any of our recipes or incorporate the ingredients into your own recipes, please tag us at Modernist Pantry on Instagram. It's one of the best parts to be able to see what people are coming up with. It's really, really fun. So from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And turn that bell on because it notifies you when we drop a new video.
If you like any of today's recipes, go to blog.modernistpantry.com. There you'll find recipes, Ask a Chefs, and tips and tricks, and more.
And if you have a friend who you think would like this video, share it with them.
And to get any of these great ingredients, just go to our website, www.modernistpantry.com.
And until next time, we'll be here in the Test Kitchen, helping you create memorable and magical experiences.